Hey everyone, as promised, this is my video tutorial on how I remastered Guilty All the Same by Linkin Park. As you guys can see, this is the original master. It is crushed to death, for the most part. I mean, there's some places where it's quiet, but this whole song, and really the album in general, just, I'm sorry, it's sonically bad. And again, I can't say that the mastering engineer was at fault. Anyway, I'm going to show you guys how I got it to the point where I did to make a better sounding master from source material that's been compromised. So the first thing I'm going to do after I load the file into Reaper, right click it. I'm going to choose Open Items in Editor, and I have Isotope RX2, which I'm going to open up right now. All right, here's our file. So the way that you declip all this digital clipping is to go up here, click Process, Declip, and make sure quality is set to high. And what I do is what I did, I should say, is I just hit Compute, and then I hit Process. I didn't change anything except for quality. That was originally on medium, but now it's on high, obviously. And it will declip, so I'll get back to you when it's finished. Alright, it's finished processing now. As you can see, our song looks way more dynamic than it used to. What I'm going to do is just show you the waveform. And see that? That looks vinyl-ish. That looks 1980 CD-ish. You know? Not ideal. Of course, having the original mix would be ideal, but you know, I'm not privy to that. You know, I'm just some dude. So our next step is to save as. Actually, I'll probably censor this other stuff. And yeah, I'm just gonna go to Set Output Options and make sure I'm on 32-bit float. I want to keep my audio quality. And then save as, or just save over the file. You can save as well in case you think it messed up. But then I'm going to go back to Reaper. As we can see, we have a much more dynamic file. Pretty, right? And now I'm going to go to View, Mixer, and just show you what settings I used. So first up is the Magenta EQ from Acoustica Audio. This is a emulation, a really good emulation of the Manly Labs Massive Passive Mastering Equalizer. And basically what it does is it makes stuff sound better. First thing I did, I boosted the low end just a tiny bit. If you boost it too much, it starts muddying the song up. Again, unfortunately, because I'm not privy to the original mix, there's not much I could do with the low end, but I did get it bumping a little bit. As you can see, I made the bandwidth a little bit pointy, right around the 68 hertz range, so that it increased the low end. You know, I didn't want it to be too pointed, so I wanted to be hitting the 100 hertz and the slightly lower as well. So that's what I did there. Also, I have the high pass engaged at 22 hertz so that when I was boosting this, it didn't screw up the mix too much. Biggest thing I did to the mix, right here, I cut right around the 42 hertz, 420 hertz range. As you can see, that was a big cut. The more clockwise this dial is right here, the more it cuts. And I sucked out all that blanket, that I call it a blanket over the mix. All that mud over the mix is right in that 400 range. Sucked it out like a vacuum cleaner. The final thing I did, now this I went back and forth on because again, unfortunately, I only have the full mix, the full master that was, you know, has the artifacts of Isotope RX2's declipper, and you know, I want it to have this sound brighter, but every time I made it sound brighter, it added more sibilance. Now, the way the Massive Passive works, or really the Magenta EQ, you can put it on lower frequencies, and it still sounds pretty good. You know, if I would have had it higher, then it would just be affecting like the air frequencies. I found that 6K5 was my best setting, so I went with that. And I'm telling you, I went back and forth rendering mixes until I finally came that I just needed a tiny boost, a tiny shelf boost, by the way, not a bell boost. And that's it, really. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, that's it for the EQ, which again is a very high quality equalizer. It really does sound like the hardware, according to many people. Next thing I did, remember I was telling you about de-essing, you know, brightening the mix up. There was some essing that I didn't like, so I have a FabFilter Pro DS on, and it does mess with the whole mix, unfortunately. Again, ideally I would have mix stems to work with, but you know, I'm nobody. I'm nobody in the music industry, so I had, you know, that material to work with, and that took out a lot of the sibilance issues from adding brightening in with magenta. Finally, my last plugin that processes, I basically ran this through. Originally I had it all the way up here on 0, but I put it to -7.9 based on when I rendered it out. The absolute peak was at 7.9. I wanted to make this thing like a vinyl record. No clipping at all. Even though I could get away with like 3 or 4 decibels of gain reduction, I wanted this thing to sound better than that, you know? So 7.9 put me, now I wasn't even looking at the K meter, but it put me at K14, a little bit above K14. And this song sounds really good now. I did make use of span just for analyzing purposes when I was looking at the EQ, because I'm like, why is this so, this mix is so muddy? And I just said, F it. I'm going to do what I normally do, which is cut at 400, and that worked. And then ARC2 was another very important plugin that I use. It's not necessary, but I definitely recommend it. It makes the job easier. But the 3 necessary ones for this remaster were magenta, FabFilter, and, well, really ozone. I don't really even need ozone, really just anything that can bring up my mix to 7.9 decibels, which really could be anything. Again, I made it so that it clips right at -0.1. So that's it, guys. That's all I did. You know, it's a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, and knowing that really the isotope declipper is probably the most important thing in this entire process, because without that, this mix would still look like a rectangle. So anyway, this has been Adam for RealHomeRecording.com. Thanks for watching. See you next time.